This video covers project team definition within Project Lifecycle Pro, which controls access to the projects. So we're logged into our Big Dog Roofing demo environment. We're logged in as Paul Mastiff, the project manager. Paul is the project manager on the Dollars Cloud upgrade project. This is where Big Dog is converting their financial system from a desktop version to a cloud version. Paul opens up the project. Now, the first thing related to project access is you can designate a project to be either confidential or public. So if we scroll down to the bottom here, it's this box right here. This project happens to be public, but if we check this box, it would then be confidential. Public projects means that any Salesforce user within your company has read-only access to the project. They can view all the project and related items associated to the project. Confidential projects can only be viewed by those users designated as team members on the project. The only other detail is for a public project, users have read-only access to all the project information, but they are not granted access to the project financial. Again, project financial information also is handled slightly separately from the project. Only those users designated as project team members can view or edit financial information. So if we go in here, Paul is designated as the project manager on this project. Open that up. Here, Paul is Salesforce user. He is team member, email, put in a start date on the project, end date on the project, signed percent of time. So we can show you reports. I'll show you reports in a bit where you can summarize this so you can see a resources allocation across multiple projects. We have a project role section here, and kind of standard project roles are designated here. However, this pick list is completely customizable. You can add whatever project roles you typically use, like do you use project manager versus scrum master, etc., etc. Change these values to whatever you want. Next section, though, we have are automation roles, and those you cannot change. So those are specific roles that drive automation within Project Lifecycle Pro. So while, let's say, Paul may be actually a Scrum Master, he is filling the automation role of a project manager. And by assigning that automation role to Paul, he's granted certain rights, automatic notifications, the ability to view dependencies in this in other EPs functionality. In the case of a sponsor or a steering committee member, assigning them that role then includes them in the automated approval process, and things of that nature. Okay. So a project team member can be either active or inactive. The intent here is project member would start as active, or if their start date hasn't started yet, you can mark them inactive. But they only have the project team member access rights to the project if they are active, if the box is checked. So you could have a team member that's rolled off the project. You can keep their team member record for historical purposes, maybe billing issues, but you can mark them inactive and they no longer have access to the project. We can also track external resources. I'll show you that here in a bit. And then you can grant users either read-only access or edit access. The default is edit. But if I don't want them to be able to edit information, just view it, check this box, give them read-only access. That applies to both the project information as well as the financial. And then lastly, we have their access to financial information associated to this project. So if it's checked, they can either view or edit based on their read-only access, the financial information on the project. Let's go back. And also we have related items. We can attach files, like if it's an external contractor, their contract, etc., related to team member. So if we go in here, we have a sponsor, Peg St. Bernard, who is actually the CEO of Big Dog. Right? Her start dates, we do not assign percentage time because she's not actually working on the project. We're not managing Peg's time. She has a project role of sponsor as well as the automation role of sponsor, so that projects are automatically routed to her for approval when they're submitted for approval. Up here, this button here. All right. Go back. Now we can also include external project team members that are not users of Salesforce. Now they're not going to be able to access project information here in Salesforce, but we'll have a record of them, their contact information, etc. So let's say we're using some financial consultants. So we would not have a Salesforce user. We would have a contact. Let's say we're going to create a new contact. And say this is a Mr. Joe Consultant. And we need to associate them to account. Right, so now we're back to the contact. We have their contact information, their phone number. Their address, et cetera, all their basic information. And we're going to say Joe is the partner and we'll put in their start date, end date, and I'm not tracking Joe's time, so I'm going to put a percentage in here. We can put in their project role. We have a generic role called stakeholder. He's a stakeholder. Doesn't have an automation role. He's active. He's external. Doesn't really matter what access I give him to. I'm going to give him read-only access because he can't get into Salesforce. But we have a record of him being a team member. If I need to contact him, I just go in here, look him up, pull him up, and I've got all his, jump to his contact information, right? Got his phone number, etc., his email. I can get a hold of him. So those are project team members. Let's go into reporting. So here is a standard report within Project Lifecycle Pro, which is project team allocation. And here I have anyone who's been assigned to a project. Got Becky Akita, who's a business analyst. Project they've been assigned to, whether they're currently active, assigned percentage time, their start, their end date, whether or not they're external. Of course, if you have multiple projects, Dan has been assigned to Dollar Clouds and the automated testing tool, but he's only been assigned as a stakeholder, so he has no time allocated but I can see their overall allocation across all the projects. Now, long-term roadmap for Project Lifecycle Pro, we need to expand this out so you can actually allocate and schedule the resources by week and show any over allocations by week. Currently do not have that functionality, but we plan to build that here in the next few months. So that is how you manage project team members in Project Lifecycle Pro.